Professor, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Judge, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
In 1991, President George H.W. Bush nominated Clarence Thomas for a seat on the Supreme Court. Anita Hill, who had previously worked as Thomas's assistant for 2 years in the Department of Education, told the FBI in interviews that she had been sexually harassed by Thomas. When the interview leaked to the press, Hill was called to testify before Congress. During the hearing, Hill and Thomas shared their experiences with the Senate. When Hill and Thomas worked together in the Department of Education, Thomas allegedly talked about sexual feelings towards Hill, as well as pestered her multiple times to date him. Thomas had talked about and described pornographic videos, including videos of women having sex with animals, group sex, and rape scenes.
He talked about pornographic materials depicting individuals with large penises or large breasts involved in various sex acts.
Thomas also commented on Hill's attire and whether it made her look more or less attractive. In the end, she was extremely uncomfortable around him and also thought he would find an excuse to fire her. When Thomas was questioned, he was in complete denial and said he was being subjected to high-tech lynching for uppity blacks. Thomas was playing the victim in this situation and mentioned his grandfather who had grown up in complete segregation. He talked more about his blackness than the allegations. His strategy was to completely deny and deflect the allegations, and his strategy worked.
When informed by the FBI agent of the nature of the allegations and the person making them, I was shocked, surprised, hurt, and enormously saddened. I have not been the same since that day.
African American support actually grew for Thomas after the hearings. Even though he was a conservative, Black people wanted a Black man to represent them, since previously there had been barely any representation for them. As Nell Painter stated, as soon as he was targeted by a Black woman, he quickly slipped into the most familiar role of race, that of the victim, and presented himself as a man with no power at all. Thomas's use of the autobiographical strategy continued. And in the end, the Senate confirmed Thomas to the Supreme Court by a vote of 52 to 48, the narrowest margin since the 19th century. According to Ronald Walters, Thomas is not politically Black. He has an agenda that most Blacks do not have. Thomas has been known to attack the civil rights agenda, welfare, and other liberal reforms. He even called his own sister a welfare queen. Calling her this degraded the image and reinforced a stereotype of Black women. Thomas's race was the most significant factor underwriting his support. The nomination and hearings do not only highlight one issue, it is a multidimensional issue. The hearings and the nomination of Clarence Thomas reinforced rape culture. According to Marshall University, rape culture is an environment in which rape is prevalent and in which sexual violence against women is normalized and excused in the media and popular culture. Rape culture is perpetuated through the use of misogynistic language, the objectification of women's bodies, and the glamorization of sexual violence, thereby creating a society that disregards women's rights and safety. Having someone like Thomas, who was accused to behave inappropriately and sexually towards Anita Hill, be nominated shows how men who have power and privilege get away with sexual assault and rape. When other men see this, it makes them think they can get away with it too. When women see this, it makes them discouraged to speak out based on the lack of punishment seen in the judicial system and all over the world. While Hill was being questioned, there is clear evidence of rape culture when the Senate made statements and questions like,
I've got to determine what your motivation might be. Are you a scorned woman? Do you have a militant attitude relative to the area of civil rights? Do you have a martyr complex? The issue of fantasy has arisen. Are you interested in writing a book?
Anita Hill was afraid of retaliation and damage to her professional life, yet still chose to speak up. When she did, she was not taken seriously, and questions like these perpetuate rape culture. The Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas hearings can help us all take a look at how race issues and rape culture can be seen in such public platforms. Intersectionality is a key term to understand. There are so many interlocking frameworks that make up people's identities. Discrimination can intersect and overlap in many different ways. Both Thomas and Kavanaugh's race affected the outcome of the hearings. Kavanaugh's power as a white male nominated by Donald Trump assisted his nomination. Thomas's lack of power as a black man, as well as his deflection strategy, contributed to his success and nomination. The bottom line is, not only do sexual assault cases, but also every case in general, need to be looked at carefully and analyzed with an intersectional lens.